Peace and respect to you all. Welcome to Demolished Doctrine, the beginning of the end of the religions, and our regular Thursday show. Sans MacTheHuman, unfortunately, had to work, cannot be here, but we still have Steve of BigZebra.com, and Steve, would you? Why not? It's been a while. Show your channel. Show your
No,
doctrine.
I can't
Your
be bothered. I
site.
don't have news. The
Yeah.
channel
Okay.
has an issue
So
where
just
I have
moving on.
to. Yeah, okay.
Go
The
ahead.
there are two things at issue. One of them is that the dead body of John JFK Jr.
Mm-hmm.
stood up a meeting for QAnon. They expected him to arrive, and he
Believe
didn't
that.
show. He didn't show.
Some
Which,
people's kids.
dead bodies can be really rude, and they don't keep appointments. And this leads us to the regulations concerning priests. And there is an interesting bit about Aaron and the sons of Aaron and what they may or may not do. And there is an issue when, of course, you're a priest. You're not supposed to touch dead bodies or help bury them because that will leave you defiled. And
Right.
so other people have to do those tasks. But immediately after this, some really interesting things appear about who may or may not offer bread to the temple.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Leviticus 21:1. And the Lord said unto Moses, Speak unto the priests, the sons of Aaron, and say unto them, There shall none be defiled for the dead among his people. I would read that to mean that the Levites cannot uh, administer to the dead, like wrap them up in bindings and whatnot. But for his kin that is near unto him, that is, for his mother and for his father and for his son and for his daughter and for his brother. Now it says, but for his kin. That suggests to me that maybe he's allowed to assist with the burial of kin. And for his sister a virgin, that is nigh unto him, which had no husband, for her may he be defiled. But he shall not defile himself, being a chief man among his people, to profane himself. They shall not make baldness upon their head, neither shall they shave off the corner of their beard, nor make any cuttings in their flesh. And that's been part of, I think that's part of another part of Leviticus. But in this case, the Levites are not supposed to shave off the corners of their beard. And we've
Right.
seen in modern days the Hasidim don't do that.
Right.
They shall be holy unto their God, and not profane the name of their Lord. For the offerings of the Lord made by fire, and the bread of their God, they do offer. Therefore they shall be holy. They shall. This is sits very oddly today. They shall not take a wife that is a whore, or profane. Neither shall they take a woman put away from her husband, for he is holy unto God. Now, I wonder what that means, take a woman put away from her husband. Taken away, imprisoned, or not allowed to leave the house because she is impure?
I I think traditionally it means kicked out of the house, but not
Okay.
divorced.
Right. Thou shalt sanctify him, therefore, for he offereth the bread of thy God. He shall be holy unto thee, for I the Lord, which sanctify you, am holy. And the daughter of any priest, if she profane herself by playing the whore, she profaneth her father. She shall be burnt with fire. Now, this is interesting. It's implying that the daughter can bring, what is the word? It was just used. Can bring defilement among her father
Right.
by her own behavior, and so she has to be purified by being burnt with fire. And he that is the high priest among his brethren, upon whose head the anointing oil was poured, and that is consecrated to put on the garments, shall not uncover his head, nor rend his clothes. And it's kind of interesting, this business of covering one's head with hats. We have religious folk doing this, our Jewish friends, the Pope, but in the 1950s, even up to the 1950s, when a man left his house, he always put on his hat.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't really till JFK Sr., I suppose, that men stopped wearing hats in public.
Mm-hmm.
Neither shall he go in any dead body, nor defile himself for his father or his mother, which seems to contradict what came earlier.
It might.
But maybe this is a different. Um, Maybe they mean defilement in different ways with dead bodies. I don't know. Neither shall he go out of the sanctuary, nor profane the sanctuary of his God, for the crown of the anointing oil of his God is upon him. I am the Lord. The and Christ means anointed one, as I recall.
Yes, it does.
So so it's kind of interesting that you crown someone with anointed oil.
Yes.
And he shall take a wife in her virginity, and not in any other way, a widow or a divorced woman, or profane, or an harlot, a harlot, an harlot. These shall he not take, but he shall take a virgin of his own people to wife. I wonder what they mean when a woman is profane. She's divorced or profane or a
Right.
prostitute. Maybe it means someone who is not of good character. Maybe
You
that's
want me to
just
look up the word profane right there?
yeah, sure, if you can.
Yeah. Well, that's the easiest thing to do is just get a definition for it, right?
Mm.
Profane. Halal. It's no, I'm not kidding. It's halal.
Okay. Well, also profane. It might mean that she's from another culture. She's not Jewish.
Let's see. Literally, if we
Yeah.
take it literally, it means to wound, dissolve, figuratively, to profane, to break one's word, to begin as if by opening a wedge, causing a separation, to play the flute, begin, defile, break, and defile, eat as common things. Okay, so it means the same thing as you think halal means. It means
Right.
kosher or not kosher. That's
But it
that's
also means he
what it
plays the
means,
flute, which is the
which
definition
is not
I
halal.
prefer. Yes, so that's the definition I want to use. It's about playing reed instruments. Neither shall he profane his seed among his people, for I, the Lord, do sanctify him. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron. This is where it gets really interesting. Whosoever he be of thy seed in their generations that hath any blemish, let him not approach to offer the bread of his God. For whatsoever man he be that hath a blemish, he shall not approach a blind man or lame, or thee that hath a flat nose, or anything superfluous. So, for example, if a guy had two heads, that would be superfluous, or an extra
Well,
limb.
yeah, that would be a no go.
Maybe it also refers to things like having a big fat cyst on your neck. That would be bad too.
Yeah,
Um,
even the superfluous stuff is not okay.
and a flat nose. Now, there's a couple of genetic disorders that will give you a very slight nose, but maybe this also means someone who's had a broken nose,
Yeah, I'm sure this is talking about. Yeah.
or a man that is broken-footed or broken-handed, or crooked back. I know someone with a crooked back. She
Hmm.
wouldn't be allowed to offer bread from the
Yeah,
temple.
she can't do that in the temple, right?
Yeah, or probably because she's a woman primarily. Or a dwarf, or that hath a blemish in his eye, or be scurvy, or scabbed, or hath his stones broken.
Right.
Now, this is the thing. If you had broken stones, how
Hmm.
would they know? Like, are people checking up your robe as you approach the temple? Or are they saying, hey, reveal it? And they sort of rip
You know,
open their
this is
robes?
absolutely. You know that this makes no sense because it's a horrible translation. But let's keep
Well,
going. It's funny.
yeah, okay. No man that hath a blemish of the seed of Aaron the priest shall come nigh to the offerings of the Lord made by fire. He hath a blemish. He shall not come nigh to offer the bread of his God. Now, what is this bit here? The priest shall come nigh to offer. No man that
Well,
hath a
it was
blemish.
reading. It was still talking about defects.
Yes, but okay.
So even if you are a son of Aaron, if you have a defect, you're not going to be offering in the tabernacle.
I sort of screwed this up. The high priest shall come nigh. I meant that as a negative in the sense of you shall not come. And that's not, so to me it was a double negative and it was
Oh,
confusing.
I see. Okay.
But
Yeah.
that's,
Okay.
of course, not the case. Um, uh, to offer the offerings, that's a clumsy construction. To offer the offerings of the Lord made by fire. So I assume that if you were having bread baked in the temple or meat of some sort, um, those are the offerings made by fire. He shall not come nigh to offer the bread of his God. He
That
shall,
two words offer, it's offer and offerings,
yeah,
is it's most in that word the right there. I'd
hmm,
almost put money the word the they stuck in there because it says offer, and they
really,
didn't know what to make of offer. Well, I've seen this several times that they did this. So they changed it to another form so it kind of makes sense, but it's still
yeah,
clumsy as you pointed out. It's like why did offer the offerings? Yeah, it's weird. But normally what should have been there was a comma that didn't agree with their reading frame, so they
mm,
did this instead. Often, not every time.
okay. He shall eat the bread of his God, both of the most holy and of the holy. Um, both of the most holy and the holy. I don't know what that could mean, because that implies there are two different types of holy.
It's yeah, it's too. It's they had a problem with the construction again, but they
Mm,
thought it was the end of a sentence. Perhaps it's not the end of the sentence, and there's nothing wrong with the construction because this looks like what are you saying? Most holy and of the holy. What's the
yeah,
difference?
yeah. Like
We're only
I keep.
talking about bread, and we're talking about bread being offered in one way at one place by one dude.
Mm.
Because
Well,
we're
is
still
there
talking about Aaron
something?
here, right?
Or his descendants.
Right.
Um, there's something kind of odd about this because I know that people could, of course, bring animals that could be sacrificed at the temple, and but maybe the temple also produced items that could be distributed as blessings from God, and
Mm-hmm.
they weren't quite categorized the same way. It's just a thought. Anyway,
Don't ask me to justify Christianity. It can't be justified, obviously.
well, this would just be Judaism, so
Well, that
uh,
either.
Christianity may not apply.
That
Only
too.
he, only he shall not go in unto the veil, which I assume means the holy of holies, nor come nigh unto the altar, because he hath a blemish, that he profane not my sanctuaries, for I the Lord do sanctify them. And Moses told it to Aaron and to his sons and unto the children of Israel. I am right in thinking it was the Levites who attended the temple, right? They
Well, yes.
it wasn't
Levite
done by
means. Levite means priest. Yeah.
Yeah, who are the sons of Aaron, as I recall, but I could be wrong. Um, anyway, I thought this was both funny and vile at the same time. Um, that if you were defending Jerusalem and you were a Levite and a stone came over the battlements and broke your foot, well, so much for the temple. You can hang around the temple, but you can't approach. And um, it someone who's blind in one eye, well, he can't approach either.
Right.
And speaking of genetic ailments, I've seen a couple of people, only twice, someone that I knew vaguely. His hands, instead of having four fingers and a thumb, both his hands had five fingers, and they had surgery on the thumb, so-called thumbs, so
Hmm.
that the fifth finger was rotated to become a thumb, and he had almost no nose. And I was thinking, good thing he wasn't a Levite.
Right. Because he'd be out of work. Can't do anything.
Well, maybe he'd be allowed to do the paperwork in the
Yeah, but
offices.
no showbread offering, no working the altar, none of that.
No, no. Maybe
Right.
he could be a guard who hustled other people with blemishes away from the temple. Or maybe he could be the one to handle all the dead bodies. So you could have a
Okay.
Levite doing your funeral arrangements.
Right. That'd be great.
Because he
But
couldn't work in the temple anyway.
okay, so this is gonna be boring because I'm always saying the same stuff.
Okay.
First, peace and respect. B, no, just B. Also, Sadie Marie and Moon Medi and Sammy. Yeah. Thanks for dropping by, guys. Even if it gets boring and you don't stay for the whole thing, I appreciate you dropping by just the same. Okay, so I'm always saying the same things because it's all the book is always saying the same things. So let me just ask you: if I said biblically someone was quote unquote the light bringer, what do you suppose that means?
Well, I would normally, two things come to mind, which
Mm-hmm.
was the Prometheus legend we spoke of earlier
Sure.
and in a previous show. And the other one would be Lucifer,
Um,
um, which could be wrong, but
no, no,
hey.
no. He's definitely referred to that way in a certain time frame.
Well, yeah, what is it? Morning Star?
Well,
Um,
there is the one given the morning star, and then there is one who is the bright and morning star, and those are two different people on opposite ends of the same spectrum,
mm,
which is interesting when their names are so close. Some people even hypothesize that Lucifer is this other person, but who's the other person?
well, who else would be a good candidate? Maybe if it's a Lightbringer, it might be Adam or a different angel, or
In fact, you're kind of right because when Lucifer is called an angel of light or light bringer, it's when he's an archangel that he's called that.
oh, but not when he becomes the devil.
Yeah, but well, he never becomes the devil. That's a Christian misnomer. We'd have to talk about that in depth. That'd be a distraction right now. But
Okay.
yes, he's never called that after that. He's never called
Mm,
Lucifer again, which means that.
right. Mm. And this comes up in Leviticus here.
Leviticus 21:17. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
it does.
Because Lucifer has a blemish, or
No,
okay,
no,
I don't get it then.
it's talking about Aaron and all of his sons being
Yes.
without blemish.
Mm.
And if they have blemish, which they won't, but you'll know it's not a son of Aaron, it's not a priest if they have a blemish.
Holy crap. So maybe if someone has a blemish, they're not a son of Aaron?
That's correct.
Wait a second here. But it says, whoever he be of thy seed in their generations that hath any blemish.
Right.
So this is referring to Levites who do have a blemish. It's not saying they aren't Levites.
Well, actually, it's not really saying that, Steve. That's the way it came out with the presuppositions of Christianity and actually specifically Judaism.
All right. Well, so from your translation efforts, you
Well,
can
let me
see
read
that.
you the definitions first,
Yeah,
because
far away.
here's the actual words
Hmm.
that you see on the screen right there. I want to make it as large as possible. Nobody needs to look at my face anyway.
I can read it
So
screen. So
okay.
other
So
people could.
Leviticus 21:17, speak unto Aaron, saying, whosoever of thy seed in their generations that hath blemish, let him not approach to offer the bread of his God.
Okay.
Okay. Of course, I've subtracted the italicized words because they weren't actually there. All those are interjected. That's why they're italicized. But
Right.
here's the actual words. Promise Elohim, light bringer, speak, extant man, season sown seed, move in circle revolution of time, they, to breathe come to pass, moral blemish, approach not, approach, devour or overcome, food, Elohim.
Okay, that's even worse. I see what you mean about light bringer, since God let there be light, which happens early in the novel. But
It does.
yeah, that is extremely hard to make sense of. So you think they didn't really do a great good job here in this English translation?
Well, I mean, I just read you the definitions,
Yes.
and if I did it in a continuous context, I think it would turn out something like this. The promise angels made toward the light bringer, that he speaks to existent man in the season of the sown seed as he moves in a circle revolving in time. For they who breathe, it will come to pass and be better for them, that moral blemish, or those morally blemished, approach not in the
Mm,
approach of devouring of the earth by powerful beings.
right. Um, well, as I always say, there's a real, is this English translation because they understand the subtleties of the language, or is it just an abomination
It's
that?
often assumed that it's because they understand the subtleties of the language. But when someone says something like that, what they really mean is we're going with a continuous context because there are no subtleties of the language.
Well, it's your translation, or your definitional translation is kind of horrifying, and I'm not even
Why?
sure. Well,
Because
oh,
they're going to devour the planet?
yeah, that would be one thing. Hello there,
Yeah,
Flow
that's kind
State,
of shocking.
and hello there, Sadie Marie Jones. I hope Trump isn't Lucifer, um, but I'm glad he's not in office. But I shouldn't be political here. What do you think if you were to take your translation there? Can you make it clearer to me in plain English?
Oh, sure.
Because
There's one who tells the truth during end times, and
mhm,
angels promised him that he'll be the one that tells the truth. And then it reads, when will you tell them the truth? Well, you're going to tell them the truth in a certain season while they're having children, while they're revolving in a circle in time, obviously on the planet Earth, still in orbit around the sun. And who will you tell it to? Those who breathe, and or everybody. And what do you tell them? You'll tell them that it will come to pass and be better for them, but it's best for them if the one who approaches, that is, approaches the tabernacle or the house of God or heaven, has no blemish, and they will approach the house of God during the approach of the devouring powerful beings, those who are going to destroy the planet.
Mm. And they talked about the circular nature of time in there. That was a little weird. What did they say?
The actual original words: season, sown seed, move in circle, revolution of time.
Well, I guess a person living in that time would think of time in a circular fashion because the seasons revolve uh, from.
Yeah, we kind of do. As long as we're on a planet, we're going to kind of think of. Someone giving me my blue wrench. Cough, cough.
Who wants a blue wrench? Flow state. Flow state. If you want a blue wrench, do what I do. Never ask for one.
Actually, I'll gladly give him one. He's been cool. In fact, I thought I'd already had, but apparently I must have not saved or something when I did it, which was
okay.
weeks
Well,
ago.
why don't you take care of that lovely blue wrench issue? As long as it's not a blue waffle issue. Blue wrenches.
I've seen people do this rather expediently. If I hit this, is it going to like kill the stream? I don't know.
We'll find out.
If it kills the stream, it's because I'm giving Flow State a wrench. Because I have to go and it didn't kill the stream.
Okay. Well, type something, Flow State. Let's see if you get your wrench or not.
Well, not yet. Let me tell you when it happens.
Maybe it's because you suck. Maybe that's a problem, Flow State. You suck. That's why you don't have a blue wrench. I could be wrong. Okay, he's a good guy. B speaks up for him, so that's a pretty good endorsement right there. But right now, without his blue wrench, Flow State is blemished, and
they changed the structure of this darn thing.
Yeah, of course they did. No software.
I knew where this stuff was.
It's over there on the left.
System.
I just made that up. I have no idea. By the way, while we're waiting, yes, I know. While we're waiting for the blue wrench, I've got to tell you guys a really great thing. If somebody is, for example, walking through a room and you're sitting on a couch, and he's walking, say, east, and he says, "Where are my car keys?" And you give no indication as to where they are, but you just say, "They're over there." The person will stop what they're doing, go in the opposite direction, and then realize that they have no added information, and then look shocked. And it's really hilarious. And because if you tell someone they're over there, well, they have to be somewhere, so you're not lying. But you haven't given them any extra information.
But they'll still turn around.
Yes, it's amazing the power you can have over people.
That is a terrible, terrible thing to do.
Yes, they're on the side that would work too.
And try to figure out where they moved the blue wrench to some other time. But okay. I'm going to get you Flow State. I just can't find it right now because they changed the structure of how I find it. But I'll do it eventually. Don't know why they did that.
So, given this this business about destroying Earth's cycles in time, and then immediately afterwards we have these new sentences, these new verses that go on and on about the types of blemishes that a person cannot have. So how do those two verses interact? Because No, keep going. I was trying to prompt you to explain it to me.
Understanding that Aaron means the light bringer, or the one who speaks the truth of God, and or in the case of the Bible, Jesus, which is why his almond staff blooms and he tells the truth and is the correct prophet and the only correct prophet. And yes, in the Bible, there's only one correct prophet. There's not multiples. Of course, he's going to tell the truth to the people during the revolving circle time when they're having babies. Of course.
Is that what that
But
means? Circle time is having babies?
no, I didn't try to say that. I said
Oh,
when
okay,
people are
sorry.
on the earth rotating around the sun, they'll be multiplying.
Oh, right, okay.
Okay. I think that's a given. People do it. So,
You do?
yeah, I've seen people like have children. I've even seen a few of them born. Okay,
Good for you.
so moving on from there, understanding that when it says that, like Jesus quotes, a quote by Jesus says, "I am doing as I saw my Father do before me." In other words, he's saying, "I saw my Father do the job of Jesus Christ." That's directly what it's saying. Now, did he literally see it like the generation before him? His dad, the carpenter, did it too. No, 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 no. No, it means father like Father in heaven. And when it says son, it means son like Christ. It never means actual direct lineage son. It's not even implied there actually. So when it says sons of Aaron, Aaron being the correct priest or Jesus, it means the next Jesus who will also be without these blemishes, just like Aaron is.
Okay, how do we
Why
get
is
Jesus in here, though?
the
I
light
maybe
bringer?
I thought Lightbringer was God. Let there
No.
be light.
Well, yes, it's God in that way. Let there be light. Yes, but it's the same thing as saying also mental emotional enlightenment. It's not strictly literal photons.
Okay, I don't. I think Mac would. By the way, people should know, I'm completely skeptical about the Bible having revealing truth in this way, but
Right.
Mac is much more in tune with Richard. So since he's not here, imagine he is here, providing some reinforcement. Sometimes I think I understand this. Sometimes I'm pretty sure I don't, and or sometimes I think it's like jazz. Sometimes when I listen to jazz, I think the emperor has no clothes, and, and it's jazz is really hard on my brain, but that doesn't mean I'm right. So um, where were we? Yes, we're missing Mac very, very much. And back to you, Richard.
So Flow State pointed out that Lucifer's name meant light bearer, and that's
Yes.
true while he was an archangel and before
Mhm.
the fall. Totally correct. Uh, the phrasing here is not light bearer. The word bearer is the wrong word. It's light bringer, as in active future. So it's not referring to Lucifer, I think, at all, and it's talking about um, the promise angels make toward the light bringer, that he
Mm.
is to speak to existent men during this a certain season while their people are revolving around the sun and having children.
I,
Um,
if I can, I wanted to give a shout out to People Thulu, and good morning to you too, and Morning Star. But
Absolutely.
sorry, Richard. Yeah, so it's to me this is I'm not sure if this is interpretation or interpolation, if I'm understanding those phrases correctly.
Right.
I it's a stretch for me, but why don't you keep going and go with
Well,
the flow state?
go with the flow state. The word Aaron means light bringer. It's
It
obvious
does.
throughout the story Aaron's not the bad guy.
Okay.
So when I'm saying light bringer, I'm saying Aaron. Just so you know, so that confusion can be stopped.
Okay.
Aaron's never the bad guy in any context. Light bringer is not bad guy. He's not Lucifer. But but since Aaron is the one whose almond staff blooms, or the first one to actually receive something meaningful in prayer, or maybe the first one to receive anything real in prayer at all ever on the planet, um, is obviously the spokesman for Moses. For that reason, Moses doesn't speak out loud in public until he finds wrath.
Right. And
Okay.
Aaron is the one who's holding on to that big antenna, which is why he receives the messages.
Right. That's exactly precisely right. He's got the God antenna. So
Right on.
so bearing all that in mind, so that we have a continuous context, um, Aaron, the light bringer, is obviously a character, a type or typology representing Christ or Jesus from the stories. So when it says he has a son, it doesn't mean his first generation fruit of his loin, actual next 16, 25 years apart son. It just doesn't mean that. It's actually talking about, like he says, I am doing as my father did before me, being a Christ, that is. His quote unquote son will also be a Christ. So all of this is only saying that if someone approaches you during end times and they have some blemish like this, we did not design him genetically. We did not select him to be the Jesus. He is not the Jesus. He is a liar.
That seems a heavy thing to put down. Well, okay, well, it just means that he's not the Jesus. So
Right.
if the guy
He's
has
not Jesus.
so if the guy is a funny-looking kid, as an FLK, as the doctors say, um, the doctors, when they want to speak in code, when there's a kid in the hospital who's got terrible symptoms, they will refer to him as a FLK, saying that he may have something genetically wrong with him.
Right.
So, so Jesus, the Christ, won't appear as with something wrong with him.
Right. Also, the angels will take charge over him to keep him in all his ways. They will bear him up in their hands, lest he dash his foot against the stone. So he's not going to have a broken hand or a broken foot or something like that either.
And we know from isn't it one of the Gospels that actually have angels carrying Jesus into heaven?
Yes.
But it might have been one of the apocryphal ones. It might have been Peter. Gospel.
Well, it sometimes reads as a whirlwind. Sometimes it reads as angels. Some people think it's just magical elevation into some ethereal plane. But I'm supposing, since these are living, like, solid beings, it'll be either a transport craft or maybe a personal flight by angel. I'm not sure.
Okay. So, so you read this as Jesus will not have any of these blemishes, and it's one of the ways you shall know him.
And no Jesus ever will.
Well, Jesus is always the best one in the best looking one in those children's Bible things. He looks almost angelic.
Killing me, man. Yeah, the Quran also goes on about that.
Really? They say Jesus was a good-looking dude?
Well, they call him Muhammad, but yeah.
Ah, okay. Yes, right. And I remember being surprised that in Iran, who are Shia, not Sunni, that you can buy portraits of Muhammad. Like, here's a picture of him.
Yeah.
And I thought, but you're not supposed to have images. And so what would be illegal in Saudi Arabia isn't illegal in Iran.
Right.
But that's kind of off topic, as you would probably point out.
Eventually.
Um, yes, yes. Cookie notice. Our website uses cookies. All right, that's yeah. So, I did have something else that I wanted to talk to you about, and thank you for indulging me to talking about all the broken stones and everything,
Sure.
because I thought that was just is a hilarious thing to happen in the Bible. Um, uh, we talked here about what blemishes that people may or may not have if they approach the temple. Um, but given the prohibition against pork, so for Muslims it is pork is haram, and
Yeah.
for Jews, what do they call something that's non-kosher? Halal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So since there's a prohibition against pork, are Jews and Muslims allowed to wear pork pie hats?
Um, is the hat itself made out of pork pie?
No, it's just called pork. So it goes by the pork name.
Yeah, I think it's to be taken literally, whether or not it's actually made of pork. Although
Oh,
that's not what the Bible's talking about at all. But anyway,
well, on an interesting note, I saw a really interesting video where a lovely woman who was Muslim, a very devout Muslim, went on a mission to try impossible pork. And it's that new meat product that doesn't have meat in it, but it's
right.
designed to taste like pork.
Hmm.
And she got a whole bunch of hate mail from
Why?
other
It's
Muslims.
not pork.
Exactly. And the general consensus from imams was that it was not haram, but it may have been disrespectful to eat something that's supposed to taste just like pork, even though it isn't.
Uh, uh, my mom once made artificial banana flavoring in the lab, and I tried some of it. Tastes like
Yeah.
bananas, but there's no
Okay.
banana in it.
Interesting. So that would be useful for those really weird banana cream pies you can buy from your grocer's freezer.
Yeah, the artificial flavorings are exactly that, a set of chemicals that tricks your brain into thinking you tasted the thing.
Mm. I would rather have the thing than the chemical thingamabob.
It depends on how cheap and well preserved your candy is going to be, or whatever.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's a problem too.
so you brought up swine and pork, and I claimed that it's not talking about pigs.
Oh, right. Well, what are they talking about?
Well, just like if you look up the word ox, it
Hmm.
means a stubborn person. All the animal references means a kind of person, by the way, all of them.
Really? So, what does a swine mean? An unclean person?
Well, it means an unclean person, but a specific kind of unclean person.
Okay. What kind is
Like,
that?
well, it's the kind you don't cast your pearls before. It reads, "Do not cast your pearls before swine." Now, Christians understand that right there it doesn't mean pigs,
Yes.
but
Okay.
then the rest of the places they think it could mean pigs.
Hmm.
So, like when Jesus cast the demons out into a herd of swine,
Yes.
it doesn't mean pigs.
So, but the swine ran into the river and drowned, didn't they? In the story,
Yes.
but they weren't swine. They were rude people.
Well, not rude people. No, that's not what it means.
What?
People can be rude. That's great.
Oh, well, what kind of swine were these people? I
Well,
guess is
when it says pearls, it's talking about pearls of wisdom,
yes.
not literal, oyster irritation cumulative buildup. Uh, No, it means don't put your wisdom where it's being wasted. So the kind of person where you'd be wasting your wisdom is the kind of person who isn't going to hear you no matter what.
Right. So
So in
that would
end
probably
times,
mean an
there
atheist
would
like
be
me.
no, not like you.
Mm.
Somebody is really hardcore. Uh, and they don't give a crap what anybody said or how much sense it makes. They're not going to hear it, even if it makes perfect sense to them. They still won't hear it because they're just very very stubborn,
Mm.
unchangeable. You could say it like that. So so of course there's a herd of swine nearby when the demons get cast out, and they can of course go into things that aren't pigs but are called swine, of course.
Mm. Maybe they meant the Samaritans. I know that the Jews of that time hated the Samaritans.
Well, I'm sure it's not about that time frame on this planet at all, but it's
Oh,
talking
okay.
about end times, just like when the prophet will speak to the people during a first. The word season there in Leviticus, what was it? Something 17,
21:17.
21:17. The word season right there is a very specific word that means the same as signs and seasons,
Mm-hmm.
days and times. It's those references. And the only time that it talks about that is significant is what Christians often call end times or the great day of the Lord. That's the season it's talking about. And it's not surprising that in 17 it read they'll be, having babies, revolving in a circle during that season, because it says that several times throughout the text. In those days, people will be marrying, having children, acting like everything's normal. They don't know the end's coming. All of those kinds of.
Right. Are people making fun of us in chat? I haven't looked.
Well, Peebo's making some jokes about Soylent Green, etc., but it's pig as human joke. You see,
Oh, yes. Well, excellent. I'm in
right,
favor. I like Soylent Green jokes. I think there are
right.
some things you can buy that pretend to be Soylent Green. Like, I think VAT 19s might sell them.
And Peebo Thulu just did a scene from the cave of the wicked animal that eats people. From he just he just wrote that he's running around flailing on fire.
Yes, I know how you feel there, people. Thulu. The
It's coming. It's after me. Oh, it's too close. I can't defend myself. Arr.
mm, mm, Lordy.
Like you would carve the expression of pain while you die into the cave wall. But anyway, moving
Yeah.
on.
Yes, he
Uh,
wouldn't just. Which is a brilliant Monty Python scene. You gotta love him.
it's it's amazing. So yeah, I'm seeing the same terms and ideas repeat again and again in this as I always do. Now, am I biased? Yes, I'm very biased, and I think this is the correct reading. Thereby, I am biased. But since it's so coherent within itself, and it's just the same story, I don't know how many times. I haven't bothered to be counting. But I'm sure if I
Well,
translated the rest of those in 21, I'd end up with the same ideas, which is why the words repeat so much.
well, I promise you, Richard, I'm not being deliberately obtuse. I just don't get it. But
Don't get what?
that's on me. Well, I
What do you mean
don't.
by?
I don't. I don't follow. To me, it seems more likely that this is about this human tendency to make rituals and put stupid restrictions on people so they can't approach the temple. And
That's
that's
that's the religiosity part.
yes, and humans love that shit.
Yeah,
And
people love religiosity, but why is that important or interesting in any way?
well, I agree. That's what makes the Bible difficult. But you have this different interpretation. You see it differently, and find a better meaning than I can see. Even though I hear you talking about it, I don't sort of see it in the text. But so I don't want to. I would never insult you by humoring you. I just admit, you know what, you could be right. I just don't quite get it.
I don't think there's much to get. Maybe you're working too hard.
Maybe.
I mean, it's just saying there's ancient human beings who are going to invite us to be part of their collective advanced, they claim, utopian society,
Mm,
and the first thing they're going to do is wake up somebody who was genetically predetermined that when a certain genetic combination came together, that person would be without all of these defects that 2117 or 21 just listed. They won't have
mhm.
those defects, and they're going to be the bringer of light, and they're going to be the one who tells people that sort of thing. So then the people will have an interpretation of the signs. When they see the signs, they'll know what's up, and he'll stay until all of end times is over, right down to the last minute, at the end of the 40 days and 40 nights. Let's see, 40 days of heroic trials and 40 nights like a winding staircase is actually what
Yeah.
those words mean.
And 40
Um,
comes up a lot in the Bible, doesn't it? 40 days and
that's
40
because,
nights of rain.
but it's only talking about that 40 days and 40 nights. It's not talking, there is no second 40 days and 40 nights.
Okay. Huh. Well, I keep listening, and maybe one day I'll get it, but or maybe not, knowing that it's me that's involved in this.
Well, the
But
idea is just to give a person a mental picture so that if they see it, if they happen to live to see it, they'll
mhm.
understand. There's really nothing to get about it.
Okay.
I mean, if you're Jesus, I'd say you're a huge failure. But so long as as long as you're not the hero of the story, everything's fine.
Hey, I am definitely not the hero of this or any particular story. Um, well, I have enough trouble making mac and cheese, let alone walking on water.
Right. Speaking of mac and cheese, wish Mac well. Um,
Yeah.
I don't quite think genes work that way, Richard. No, no, they don't. In a naturalistic, randomly selected mating pairs, genes don't work that way. You're right.
Mm.
Of course, that's no part of the story of the hero that it's random or they're not pre-selected, that the whole thing isn't worked out way ahead of time. That's all part of the story.
Oh,
So apparently angels are sometimes matchmakers.
hmm the if you're wondering where Mac is, it's just work issues. Don't worry, he's not in dire straits or anything.
He's not on the edge of being fired. They just keep changing his schedule.
hmm And that was predicted in End Times as well.
That
So,
Mac's schedule would constantly be changing.
oh yeah, yeah, it's all over. Uh, John of Patmos, he mentioned that repeatedly.
Yeah, I think it's in the menu letters.
hmm I think I'll start doing that in ordinary conversation. I'll just, if people are talking about potato chips or whether or not Ruffles have ridges, I'll
Right.
just start talking about how it was mentioned in End Times,
Yeah.
just to mess with people and fuck with them.
Well,
You know.
that's part of the prophecy.
Oh, right, because people would be false prophets.
Right.
Yes,
No,
yes.
I was just no, actually, I was just giving you an easy way to say that. No matter
Well,
what they
thank
say,
you.
you could just say, "Well, that's part of the prophecy, right?" Because when that happens in real life, that's the way I actually say it.
That's awesome. I love it. And the more trivial the circumstances are, the funnier it is.
I would think so.
Mm. All
Well,
right. Well,
we're
we
right at about an hour now, so we should be wrapping this up.
yes.
Um, I think it would be interesting, though I'm not sure you'd be inclined to do it. Perhaps if you were looking up these words and processing it in that way instead of me doing it for you, perhaps you'd see more of what I was talking about. But I'm
You,
not saying you should do that.
you know, why don't I give it a shot? Maybe I'll try it with Leviticus 21:17, since you sort of got me primed.
I think
See
you
what
should do something
happens.
else to avoid bias, because now
Okay,
you already have a suggestion.
I
You should
do.
do it somewhere completely. Well, you heard me read it in the translation that I think
Yes,
is there. So that's a
yes.
bias. You should do something clean, something totally new, something we've never talked about.
Oh, okie dokie. Let's see what I come up with.
I mean, just
Try
to be
not.
more scientific about it.
Yeah. Oh, lordy. Okay, well, I'm going to sign off because I'm tired now and I want to fall asleep.
Okay, have fun falling asleep.
Yes, and hey, everyone in chat. It's been great seeing you all there and having fun with you. Hope to see
Sweet
you
dreams,
next week.
Sleeping Beauty.
Well, I'd be content just to get some sleep.
Right
Don't know
on.
about the beauty sleep. It's been real. Bye for now.
Both. Bye for now. Thanks a lot.
Bye there, Richard.
Okay, guy. Oh, welcome, Ox. That's great timing. Now you don't have to watch the show, and you were still here. It's amazing. Peace and respect to you all. I want you all to know that I truly do look forward to the day that we're all great friends. Till next time.